Great evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Zoom is packing up. Thank you for joining on YouTube. We are on the Hustle page, but this is the Central Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists Ministerial Spouses Association, and we welcome you because it is Child's Month. Yes, children are not only the future, they're the present. And so we want to speak on the topic Spare the Rod. Yes, we're going to get some tips because in Jamaica, we don't need any tips on how to beat. We know everything about that. We need other tips. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We will take questions at the end. If you're on YouTube, feel free to put your questions in the chat. You can like, you can subscribe. If you're on Zoom, you can also put the question in the chat, but I'm sure we would want to see and hear from you. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on. We could have been so many places. Some of us are even on multiple Zooms right now, but we felt this topic was truly important. And of course, we ladies, this will have a little clarion emphasis, although we're the shepherdesses of CJC. This will have a little clarion emphasis. So thank you so much for joining us. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Nurse Katie and Wisdom Lewis to give us the opening prayer, and then we will be serenade with Mr. Anthony Dowden, not the one you think it is. So I hand over to Katie and then Anthony Dowden.
All right, everyone, let's pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us to this moment where we can learn about how to discipline our children in different ways, Lord. I'm asking that this program will go according to your will and that person's parents and parents to be and children will leave here inspired. Help us not to keep what we learn, but that we'll share with others, and that other persons who are hoping to learn as well will come on in time to catch this very important meeting, Lord. Be with us in this presentation. Thank you again for everything you've done for us. I pray in your son's name. Amen.
I saw a tree by a riverside one day as I walked along. Straight as an arrow and pointing to the sky, growing tall and strong. How do you grow so tall and strong? I said to the riverside tree. This is a song that my tree friend sang to me. Got roots growing down to the waters. I've got leaves growing up to the sunshine. And the fruits that I bear is a sign of life in me. I am shade from the hot summer Sunday. I am nest for the birds of the heavens. I'm becoming what the Lord of trees has meant me to be. A strong young tree. I saw a tree in the city streets where buildings block the sun. Green and lovely, I could see joy to everyone. How do you grow in the city streets? I said to the downtown tree. This is the song that my tree friend sang to me. I've got roots growing down to the waters. I've got leaves growing up to the sunshine. And the fruit that I bear is a sign of life in me. I am shade from the hot summer Sunday. I am nest for the birds of the heavens. I'm becoming what the Lord of trees has meant me to be. A strong young tree. A strong young tree.
Amen. I don't know if I must say amen or if I must clap. Thank you so much, young Dowdin. And I won't even tell you when I ask him to learn that song. I will not give the secret because it doesn't show. Thank you so much, one of our PK, our pastoral kids. And so we have a little, I know many of you in Jamaica, I am not sure if we have overseas viewers, would have experienced certain disciplining. I know in the Caribbean, it is not easy. Okay, it is not easy. If we would have grown up with our grandmother or whatever it was. So we have a little video for you showing some of our ministerial spouses, ministers, and children, PKs, telling their experience. So turn up your devices, please, because some of them, you know, they talk so low when they're giving their stories, and when they're quarreling, they're so loud. So turn up your devices so we can hear the little the stories.
For me, getting beaten was not anything funny. But I can remember this instance in my life that there was a guinea tree in front of our home. And every time that guinea tree bear for the summer, is as if every evening I get beaten because I was the eldest of my siblings. So my brother and sister want guinea. I go up in the tree, pick guinea. And every time then daddy come home, wanna get guinea. Me pick it daddy. And he will beat me. You know, hear myself stop going that tree. Yes, daddy. You know, hear myself stop going that tree. Yes, daddy. And every evening then one guinea, me go up in the guinea tree. And I pick the guinea because the guinea sweet. So it was a sweet beating because the guinea sweet, the beating hot.
Sorry. So when you do something wrong, how does mommy and grandma or daddy punish you?
I don't know, but I'll see.
What you said?
I don't know.
I can't manage. I can't manage. You see that behavior? You think I could have do that behavior with my grandmother? When my grandmother just beat me with whatever she can find. I tell you, I had a great grandmother that died at 103. And from I know that lady, she was in our 100 and she had beat me. My cousin and I, we were climbing an orange tree. And she said, Kelly and Nickel, come out of that orange tree. No. If one on a drop, me go beat the two on. And I said, Granny, oh, you must beat the two of us. Hey, Granny, oh, you must beat the two of us, he drop. Well, we're not hearing, so the two on the field. I said, well, I'm not dropping out of the tree, so I'm not getting no beating. And we climb up the tree. Lo and behold, my cousin him got drop out of the tree, poof on the ground. You know who run off? I jump out of the tree and I ran go to my grandma. I ran go next door and they don't see me back. So after my cousin did get beaten on top of him drop. So I stay up on my grandma, which was her daughter. Long after another night now, She see me and she said, I don't see her the whole lot today. I said, Granny, I just said I'm not getting any beating because I didn't drop out of that tree. And I stay far from her while I'm talking to her now. She said, go on in your bed, man. I'm not troubling you. So, old person never ran for beat you. But although the beat never did hot, I learned my lesson. Or my cousin learned his lesson.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrine. And my name is Anthony. And I'm here today to give our story about how our parents disciplined us when we were younger. My story is about when I made my anger get the best of me. The previous night, my mother had taken away my tablet because she told me to put it down and go to my bed. I didn't listen and I had it on and was watching YouTube. She came into the room, took it away, and because of my anger, I took it out on her flowers and destroyed it. And I got beaten for it. What I've learned is that I should be obedient and learn how to control my temper. So my story was when I was living in St. Mary and I received a doll from my brother. And my mother was washing outside on a Sunday and there was this old television that I climbed onto and she called me 3 times. And within the third call, I was coming down from that television and slid straight into a zinc. I made my way around to the veranda. When I climbed to the stairs, I saw my foot open up. My father grabbed me and rushed me to the hospital. The moral of my story is that never let it to be late. Never be late to listen to a call. Understand? If your parents say do something, you do it immediately. I thank you.
Share with us an experience you had being disciplined.
Okay, there was this one time where I don't know, when I was very young, I'm not even sure. But anyways, I was giving trouble at church, I guess. And we came home, and night came, and then my mother reminded me that don't think that I've gotten away with it. And then she came in my room, told my bedtime story. We prayed, and I thought that was it for the night. But no, she reminded me again that I will be getting a beating. It didn't make any sense at the time, but I guess that I would have realized the value of it at the time.
So you realized that it was necessary?
I don't think it was necessary, but I don't think I would have learned any other way. I don't.
Okay. All right.
So I don't remember ever really being beaten, but I have been disciplined. During the preparation for the PEP exams, I would come home from school and my grandmother would be here to give me some extra work. Now one day I decided that I just didn't want to do the work anymore, and that caused an argument. So my grandmother said that I should be grateful for her because a lot of people don't have others around to help them with their studies. So after some thinking, I decided that I was going to do the work, listen to her, and when it came to the PEP exams, I was able to pass and go to the school of my choice thanks to the help of my grandmother.
All right, how I was punished as a child. Let me see. Well, first and foremost, used to get beaten. They're regular for almost anything. For going out to the yard, for playing when they tell if you stay in the yard. Yeah, pretty much anything. You can't back talk anybody, you can't back answer anybody. Or you get beaten for that. So, what you get beaten with? Well, we get beaten with prong and at whip. What do you call it? Guava stick, belt. You throw a stone out of your head back when time you run and he can't get you. Yeah, them normally if them can't catch you, them wait until you bathe and I go go your bed when you can't run. Then them just run out, then just grab you and beat you. Yeah, so things like those. Pretty much. Pretty much. There may be others, but How long time I get beaten me? I got it. We'll see. All right.
Right, so.
All right. So thank you so much, Pastor Lewis and family and all the Wilson children, the Dowden children, Kayla, everybody. Thank you so much for sending your videos and giving us our stories and giving us some comedic break. And we won't call the name of the individual hiding the face. You can guess. Drop in the chat if you know who was hiding her face at the beginning. So thank you so much, everyone. So at this time, this is why you came, gave you some time to come on board and get into the groove. We're going to hear from a very friendly woman, a very accomplished woman, someone I know and work with. She is Dr. Avril Daley. She has a bachelor in education from the University of the West Indies and Michael in special education and a master's in science at Alabama A&M University. And she also has a PhD from the University of the West Indies in clinical psychology. She has been in private practice for over 24 years, where she does assessments, whether contemporary assessments as well as counseling services. And she also offers psychotherapy, psychological assessments, and training for various family members and teachers. Dr. Daley has worked at the Michael University College, the University of the West Indies in the Department of Child Psychiatry, Child Health, and the Department of Community Health and Psychiatry. So, and of course, International University of the Caribbean. These positions, of course, have offered her numerous work in the field of special education and psychology with tertiary level students from the undergraduate to the graduate programs. So we don't have, as Jamaican would say, any dibby person on the line. She is well suited to speak to us. So without further ado, let me step myself out of the way and invite Dr. Avril Daley to come and give us her presentations, and then we will entertain questions at the end, or if she chooses in between. And you can drop your questions in the chat on YouTube. Go ahead and start putting your questions. Go ahead. If you're on the Zoom, when it's time for you to do questions, we'll raise your hand. All right, so we'll take Dr. Bailey at this time.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me tonight to be a part of your program and to be able to share with you my thoughts on the topic. Spare the rod, how to discipline your child. I watched with amusement the video that you started out with, because that has been a long-standing thing in Jamaica. And it was also very good to hear two of the young persons who related their aspect not speaking about corporal punishment. So that was refreshing. I mean, there are some persons already realizing what the alternatives to corporal punishment might be. Okay, so I'm going to start now, and I'll reserve questions for the end. Okay, so just write them down and remember them and what topic you want to touch on, or concepts or anything that I spoke about that you like to have. All right, so spare the rod. Oh, thank you, Dr. O'Hara Spalding, O'Hara, for that beautiful welcome and making me feel very at home. And as you said, I'm a pleasant person. Oh, thank you. All right, so spare the rod. And I'm happy that you did the video, because that's where I'm starting from. And when I have any place that I need to go to discuss alternatives to corporal punishment, I have to start with making a cultural shift. It's something that is ingrained in our society that we use corporal punishment as a first line of defense in terms of working with our children. And we can always have debates year in, year out on different things. But until we make a very drastic change in the way we think of things and how we know we should treat children, then the rod will always be part of it. I know that spare the rod comes from the Bible. However, part of my upbringing was also somebody to explain that the shepherds had the rod, and shepherds will never beat their sheep. They use it as a guide. So I said, so why did we think it was a beating stick? So that's my perspective. All right. So it says, spare the rod. We have to change the mindset of our Jamaican parents. We have to come away from thinking of the rod as being a beating stick. All right. Because we all grew up, most of the persons on the video said the same thing, the beating, and they were given and even other objects apart from the rod, stones and anything you could get to throw is something that is has been used. But if we're going to be able to leave this rod behind and use alternative, then we have to let it go. It's a very hard thing because although I have let it go, there are times when it might cross my mind to say, just need 2 good slap, but I'll catch myself before I even have to administer it. So that's the beauty of that mindset change that we're talking about. We also have to learn to speak in a different way. We have to learn to speak more kind. We have to learn to speak more positively and learn to use other ways of saying what we need to say to our children. All right, so that's one of the biggest things. All right, and so the first shift we need to make is now to understand what discipline is. Dr. Rara told you that I was a teacher first, and part of it I learned, that's where I learned what discipline meant. It says it means to teach, all right? Doesn't mean that you must punish severely. So it's a discipline about helping your child to learn how to behave, okay? And what the downfall of punishment is that it doesn't really teach them how to behave. It teaches them how to avoid punishment and how to get away with things without being severely beaten. Okay, not learning how to make decisions for themselves. All right, and discipline also works best if you are warm and loving to your child. Okay, a lot of times when we decide to administer punishment, we are also in a very angry place. And that's why at times we do things that would cause harm to our children with them by throwing things at them, burning them, and doing many other things. So for any child we work with, from a toddler to older children and teenagers, we're trying to let them understand that this will mean that we set limits for them. They learn about consequences, and this is for them to engage in good or appropriate behavior. I actually prefer the term appropriate behavior because some behaviors are good, but not in every sense. But some behavior in one situation is appropriate and another situation is not appropriate. All right. And importantly, I want to stress that from my point of view, discipline does not mean punishment. As I said, you're teaching them how to behave and how to learn how to navigate life so they become better human beings as they go through. So what is discipline? Adding more stuff. So discipline and discipline strategy are all supposed to be positive. And by positive, you're adding something to the child, building up the child, allow the child to become the best human being that they can have. All right? So you're building on talking and listening. And what we want from the children is to guide them to learn what behavior is appropriate in whatever circumstance they're in, whether home, a friend's house, childcare, preschool, or school. You want your child to know that even if you are not there, there's a certain level of discipline that you expect from them, and you want them to demonstrate that. We don't have to say, oh, because you're not here, I can do whatever I want. That's not what discipline is all about. It's for me to know that wherever I am, what I was taught as appropriate behavior should be done. All right. You want them to learn how to manage their own behavior. All right. You want to learn how to get along with other persons, how to have disagreements and not resort to a physical confrontation. Okay. And you want them to learn how to understand, manage, and express their feelings. So this third one, Jamaicans have difficulty with expressing feelings. All right. A lot of times you ask, how you feel? I'm feeling fine. Okay, what does fine look like? And they have a hard time telling you what that is. Okay, or say, oh, I am okay. What is okay? Because we don't spend time discussing the different words that mean different things. All right, they get upset, they feel away. Yes, what is that way? Okay, I feel bringle. Yes, what is bringle? I'm very angry. I feel like I want to hit you. Yes, but a lot of that comes from the physical punishment that we receive as children, and thinking that's the only way to solve the problems that we're having. So when we look at discipline, we always have to choose an appropriate way to discipline. Okay, and it's about, as it says, appropriate discipline is about finding the right balance. One of the mistakes we make in terms of using discipline is that one size fits all. It says, I remember my grandmother used to say, 7 brothers, 7 different minds. The same thing. What work with Tom will not work with Jane, or what work with Jane, not work with Mary, but not with Peter. So you have to find that right balance as to what do we do, all right? We also have to make sure we're giving the child the guidance, the discipline that they need. If you are too nonchalant and not putting in the discipline, your children feel insecure. They're not secure. They don't know, okay, if I do X, how would my parents react? Because sometimes you flip and go all Terminator on them. Next time it's like, can't be bothered. So then they're not too sure what behavior they should do, how they should do it, because you're not as consistent as you should. All right. And then what happens now is that you also feel out of control, because you have grown up your child in the early years not to be instilling the type of discipline that you want them to grow up with. And when they get to teenage years now and you're not able to speak to them or to do anything, you feel like you're out of control and you feel like you're losing your child. All right. But it says too much negative discipline and not enough praise and reward might get children behaving well, but out of fear. And I've seen this. I'm a good example of that. I was never a very inappropriate child. I told a person I can maybe count on one hand how many times I was hit, but I was so fearful of being hit that I tried not to do anything. And because of that, as an adult, I hardly ever take risks, even risks that would be beneficial to me. And that's the kind of fear that I work with, that something bad is going to happen if I try something. All right. So if you are too negative and you're not giving the positive kind of things that you want for your children, they will grow up having self-esteem issues, and later on in life they have anxiety, and then they have to end up going to treatment with Dr. R or with myself or anybody else, and we don't want that. One of the things that psychologists have also proven that for every one negative thing that a child hears, the child needs about 7 positive ones to be able to erase that. So if we're not doing that, then we're going to have issues with our children. All right. So every time you hear the child say somebody say you're stupid or you have no sense, they need 7 times to say you are right. You're trying very hard. You're doing well. You did a good job with your math. Your spelling was very good today. They need 7 of that to be able to erase that one. You're stupid. That somebody said without even thinking about it. Okay. So what I propose in terms of working with our children is something that's been around for a while, from the 1960s, called positive discipline. And Jane Nielsen did that. At the end, there's a positive free conference or for parenting. I'll put the link at the last slide so you'll be able to see that. But it's a philosophy that's based on encouragement, empowerment, and mutual respect. You see the end part is usually mutual respect. That's one of the things we as parents must try and observe. I speak to my child in a respectful way because I want my child to speak back to me in a respectful way. I can't say all these negative things to them, and when they repeat them to me, I get angry and then want to back them down. All right? That's not what mutual respect is. All right? And you say you gain respect by giving respect. So positive discipline is also a method where parents clearly communicate what behaviors are appropriate. Okay? You tell your child, yeah man, do it, but not saying, don't do that, do this instead. All right? So the children know that, okay, I'm not supposed to do that, but what do I do instead? When I get angry, like the young fellow who backed the plant and ruined it, it's like, you were wrong in doing that. If you're angry, this is what you do instead. This is how you express your anger, by not hurting yourself, by not hurting others, and by not hurting property. So if you're upset and you want to hit something that has no life, hit something that won't rebound and clobber you, right? So you have to be careful. So you have to think it through, that I can't go out in a blind rage and do something. All right, so you want them to do that. So know which behaviors are appropriate, which ones are inappropriate, and what reward they're going to get for good behavior, and what are the consequences for bad behavior. All right, sometimes children don't know that. They get very worried about what will happen if. My 8-year-old does that all the time. When I say to her, you need to do so and so, and she says, what will happen if I don't do it? And I will say to her, go look on the fridge for all the consequences that can possibly come from that particular thing. And she said, please don't let me lose my tablet. Please don't let me use electronic time, which is her big thing. All right? But she knows. Okay? So she knows what I want as appropriate. Doesn't mean that she's going to give me all the time 100% appropriateness. Because we're all human beings. We're going to try to buck the system every now and then. All right? But that is what you want them to understand. When they can buck the system, when they can't buck the system, and how to do it respectfully. All right? It's also an authoritative method. It's not authoritarian, it's authoritative. That means you give and take, you share. All right? I listen to your viewpoint, you listen to my viewpoint. We try to figure out how to solve different things. So we're not going to use yelling, spanking, or severe punishment. It doesn't mean that if you're making that cultural shift, that you're not going to yell sometimes. Because right now, for me, yelling is the only thing from here that I still do. And sometimes I say, please forgive me. I'm very sorry. I lost my head a while ago, and I'm sorry that I shouted at you. Okay? And sometimes she even says, Mom, you're shouting. And I said, I'm very sorry. Or I said, no, I'm not shouting right now. I'm using my stern voice so that you know that I am serious. Okay? So once he learns to differentiate it, and as they get older, they'll be able to do that. So positive discipline is the alternative that I want you guys to be able to use. So Nielsen says there are 5 principles of positive discipline. It is kind and firm at the same time. So I'm going to be kind to you, but I'm going to be firm. I'm not going to be wishy-washy. If I say you need to go to your room now, that's my firm voice. Okay? But I'm not going to slap you and then say, go to your room. But that's the kindness has to be there. And you have to know at the end, you say, I still love you. Because children think when they do something wrong, they have lost your love. And my child said to me all the time, Mommy, how much do you love me? Something we started from she was about 4 before she understood what numbers were. I said 1 billion, gazillion, trillion, billion, zillion, gazillion, zillion. We just make up these words. And she loved it. And then she said, even when I broke your thing, did you still love me? I said, yes, baby, I love you. That's just a possession. It's not you. And said, that was an accident, and that's okay. If you broke it deliberately, I say, no, you did it deliberately. So now let's problem solve on how we're going to fix that. All right. It's effective and long. Oh, it helps a child feel of sense and belonging and significance. When you make them feel like a human, you make them feel like a real person, they're able to go out in the world and face almost anything. All right. The bullying at school, they're able to stand up to. They're able to stand up with somebody trying to be disrespectful to them because they are secure and know who they are and what they're about. Because they're not being belittled at home, they're not being bullied at home, so they can go out into the world and be positive children. It's effective and long-term. As we say, we want them to go to be the best human beings that they can. And that means into adulthood. So you're hoping that when you use positive discipline and learning, they will be able to go up and go to work, go to university and be that kind of person that you're always proud of. Teaches valuable social and life skills for good character, because as I said, you're teaching them the positive things that you want them to be able to partake of. We don't laugh at somebody who is different. We don't tease somebody else. That's what positive discipline is all about. And again, the last one invites children to discover how capable they are and to use their personal power in constructive way. As I say to children as they're growing up, they're learning. It's very hard for them, but you say it every day. Nobody can make you feel less than. You have to give them that power and never give away your power. Parents do never give away your power to your children. All right. So they learn how to handle their power because you're a good role model on how to handle that power. So as they think total is going to be looking at discipline throughout the life stages. And when you're using positive discipline, if you start at birth, then all you're doing is adding on while they go through. All right. If today is the first day, you're looking at, okay, how can I change what I'm doing? And you're going to have your teething pains and you're going to be able to say, okay, I might have to go back and unlearn some of this so I can put this into place with them. So the stage you're looking at, birth to toddlerhood, preschoolers, school age, preteens, and teens. So that's where we're looking at in terms of children. After that, you're now adults, and we're hoping that discipline you learn now, you pass on to your children or to others who are to be around you. Okay? So importantly, and I must say this, babies don't understand consequences, nor do they know the difference between wrong and right. Okay? I've seen babies being slapped because of something that they have done, and the poor child looks so startled, and I said, but he'll never do it again. He might learn that this caused pain, so I'm not going to do it again. However, he doesn't know that it caused you pain. Okay? But he doesn't know that what you did to me caused me some pain. All right? And I also see Jamaicans play with their kids in a certain way. I've sat and observed. Okay? They will slap the children and slap the children and slap the children because they're playing, not in a beating. And the child turns around and gives them one good slap. I said, oh, you hit me so hard. Bye, 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 bye. I said, but you just taught the child that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be hitting me. And we said, I'm not understanding this. All right? But we have to know that babies don't understand that. So your job as parent during the early stage up to age 1 is actually trying to teach them over and over and say, no, let's do this instead. Okay? And you have to remember that children are learning about their environment. So when they take a toy and throw it on the floor, it's not because they want to break it up, but they realize that whenever they throw it on the ground, you pick it up and give it to them. But as parents, after 4 or 5 times, we get tired of the game and we go like, I'm not giving it back to you. That's how they learn. If you want to leave it down there for a while and see how they react, because sometimes out of sight, out of mind, they will want to do something else. But that's, you have to do the same thing over and over, but showing them the appropriate behavior. Okay? Don't hit mommy in the face. You can touch mommy's cheek, but don't slap mommy's cheek. All right? And you play touch. Touch and you touch. Touch and touch. And they continue doing that. And they realize that the slapping in the face stops. All right. Then they get into toddlerhood. And that's where, remember, your terrible two start there. Oh my goodness. All you have little ones know that terrible two stage where they're trying to go into their independence. They're trying to become their little human beings. They want to walk by themselves. They want to go to the bathroom by themselves. They want to put on their clothes by themselves. All right. And when they meet anything now, they get angry and frustrated and they don't. These are brand new emotions that know that they're able to move, right? So they'll throw themselves down, they'll have their temper tantrum. I would be like picking them up and slapping them. No. You're teaching that when we get angry, we should hit. So that's what they're going to do. When they get angry, you know they're going to start turning around to slap you because that's what you have taught them. All right. But he said, rather than doing that, he said you have to tune into your child's feelings. You say, this is hard for you, booby. Okay, this is so hard. Let's try. Let's mommy help you. Come here, my little boo-boos. And you try to understand. You say, you're feeling hungry, baby? You want something to eat? I think that's what the problem is. You're tired and you want to go sleep. Let mommy put you to sleep rather than slapping them for being the annoying person they are. Change the environment. They're in one place and they're getting upset, you move them out. A lot of you do that in church, you know, but you don't do that anywhere else. They're in church, they become coming miserable and you take them outside. Why you take them outside? Because you want to disturb church. Not because you think that you should change the environment for the child, but that's what it really is. And they go outside and they're happy. And then people say, you know something? Is because they want to stay in church and hear the word of God. Nothing. It's such a toddler. They don't understand what is going on. They just say, I'm not hot and I'm bothered and there's too much noise in here and I want some peace and quiet. You take them outside and they're nice. You take them outside and you give them milk. You take them outside and give them a snack. You take them back inside and they calm down for another 30, 40 minutes. That is what it is. Distract them. Some children are bent on getting certain objects and you say, oh, look at that ball over there. And almost immediately they forget it and focus on where you are. And then you can sit and hide it. Because eventually they might stumble on over again and realize, oh, I remember that. I was playing with that before, right? So distract them, do other things to get their mind away from what they're obsessing about. All right, give positive attention. So when your toddler throwing themselves down on the floor and he's kicking and screaming, don't stand over and say, don't do that, stop that. Your reinforce that is giving them negative attention for a negative behavior. I usually step over them and walk away and let them stay there. I keep an eye on them, you know, to make sure they're not going to get hurt. Like they get so angry that they roll into something and something fall on top of them. All right. But I usually will maybe pick them up sometime and hold them and hug them, but I'm not talking with them until they have calmed down. When they've calmed down, I said, boo-boo, look how you work yourself up into a frenzy. Come on. Okay. Yes. Tell mom about it. Tell daddy about it. Right? Talk with them. Use planned ignoring. Sometimes, as I say, they'll do things because they want your attention. And you realize that's what it is. So they keep throwing the toy down and you get tired of it. You just plan to ignore them. You act as if you don't see them. All right? They might continue 5 or 6 more times because they really want your attention. But afterwards, they realize, this is not working. Move on to something else. All right? But when you're using planned ignoring, you only can use it with something that's not dangerous. So if the child has matches, that's not the time to be planned ignoring. All right? You take it from them, you do that quick, distracting. So that's a better thing to do. Take the matches and give them something else. All right? And then, you know, for example, say you go to grandma or grandpa and the child loves being at grandma and grandpa. Then it's when it's time to leave. They're going to know they're going to have the cobble balling and they're flinging down themselves. You plan before. All right? How am I going to manage that? Okay? And sometimes just give them warning. We're soon going to be leaving grandma. No! I know you don't like to leave grandma. That again, acknowledging their feelings. I know you don't like to leave grandma. It's so much funnier at grandma. But grandma needs to rest as well, and we need to go home. Grandma have other things to do. We have other things to do. And at this stage, you're still young enough for you to pick them up and just go with them. All right. So you plan what you want to do so you don't get into a place where it is going to be overwhelming for the child as well as for you. Okay. Now we move into our preschoolers now. So they're now into 3 and 4. And remember, although I said terrible twos, some of it still flows over into 3 and 4. Okay. The longer it stays, the more you start wondering what are other issues that could be there. All right. But they now start understanding what is acceptable behavior and what is not acceptable behavior. They now know that it's not acceptable to take off the clothes and run up and down through the house naked. But they do it because you're going to chase them. They're in for a game of chase. All right. So you know that. So again, your plan for situation. As soon as you strip the clothes off, you just grab them up and put them inside the bath. Right. But if you know you're in for a playful time, then you can let them slip through and you run after them and do that. All right. Very good. This is where you start setting boundaries for them. All right. So they know what are the limits, where you can go. Okay. What you can do. Okay. You say to the child, do not hit your sister. Do not hit your brother. All right. Pie. Remember, I told you, if you did that one more time, I'm going to put you in timeout. Okay, so now let's go. And they go into timeout based on their age. All right, and usually for this age, it's really not timeout. I talk about this time in. You have to spend the time with them. You put them down, and you might say, we spoke about no hitting. Remember? We don't hit in this house. We don't do that. And these are inborn skills. We do that because that's part of the aggressive nature that human comes with. All right. And you talk with them. All right. Or you might say you need to go and spend a few moments on your bed, just lying on your bed and resting. Okay. Put them on the bed and leave them there. Develop your routines with them. So that helps to set the boundaries and the limits. You have a morning routine, you have a bath routine, you have a sleep time routine. And you have these things, when they get into older age, they know that sleep time routine is at 7 o'clock. If it's supposed to take a bath that time, I take a bath, I brush my teeth, and I jump into bed. Mommy or daddy will read me a story, or we'll sing a few songs, we'll have our devotions, and then it's night out, and mommy and daddy they're going to leave. All right. So that's what it is. And then that every night, the security is there. All right. If your child dawdles and don't want to go in bed, then the longer they take, then something has to come off the table. You still put them through the routine, but say tonight there's no story because you use up the time running around the house, making up a noise and not doing what you were told. You can do that. Then there's a beat the buzzer or beat the clock. And I'm going to explain that on the next slide. All right. But time in is, as I said before, is where you actually spend some time with them to let them recompose themselves and to be able to talk about what is happening with them, or you talk about it with them if they can't express it with a language that they have. All right. So the beat the buzzer or beat the clock really is you're talking to your children and you have to explain what the game is. You use a kitchen timer and you might say, okay, there are certain things we need to do to get ready to leave the house in the morning. Okay, that should take us an hour. So you say, I'm going to give you an hour and you have to put your books in your bag. You have to brush your teeth. You talk about different things that they have to do, what they must do to get ready. And for younger children, you can make a list, but you use pictures as well as words. The teacher in me said, you're teaching them words, but the picture is for them right now. And eventually they'll graduate to words. All right, so you write a list of the things that they must do. All right, and they know what they should do. Then you decide on what reward they'll get if they are able to beat the clock. And you have something on their fridge that will track it. So beat the clock from Monday, Tuesday, and again, you don't have to go anywhere. I use a regular calendars that we get from the different grocery stores every year, but I buy these little stickers, a little heart or whatever it is. And the first day they do it, then they cover one. All right. And so for every 3 days they get, then there's a reward, or for at the end of every day, they get a reward based on the age of the child and how they understand what is going on. Then you do a trial run because you want to know, am I using 1 hour as a good marker, or is just too much to try and get ready? Am I able to get ready also so that when the clock goes off, I am actually ready to go, right? Because that can frustrate children. But if you said, okay, if you get finished by the clock, then you can watch TV while I go and get dressed, then that is okay as well. All right, so they do that, you see how it is, and then if they fail the first day, you said, okay, let's try and do it again tomorrow and see if we can earn a sticker. When tomorrow the first day after we're going to start, but you might now decide that, okay, I'm going to take 2 things off the list, I'm going to add some more time to it because of what has happened. And eventually, after they've learned it, after 2 weeks of consistent at beating the clock, that means you're getting stickers 2 weeks straight, they're not missing a day, then you can start phasing out the rewards because you don't want them to be doing only for the rewards. And you start doing it now, like they don't no longer get a reward for every day, but they get it for every 3 days, or they get at the end of the week, or you give them intermittently. They get today Tuesday, but they might not get again till next Friday, or so they're not too sure whenever they're going to get the reward, and that helps to fade the reward for them. All right. So we move to our school-age children now. So our school-age children are between 5 and 9, and you're trying to teach them new skills. That's what they're doing, because a lot of their energy now is learning how to read and write and get along with their peers, and they're at school and all kind of things. They started understanding that behavior have, they learn behavior, appropriate, inappropriate, and they have consequences. So they're now understanding that their own action also can cause consequences for them. Okay, so they need to make good choices. And again, you're going to change what the consequences because they're now older. Again, if you're doing time out or time in is 1 year per year of life. So it's now moved to 5 minutes or to 9 minutes or to 10 minutes based on what is happening. You also now start looking at developing more home or family rules with them. Okay, line may also increase at this age. However, it is normal, right? It's better to teach children the value of honesty and tell the truth and to punish them for small lies, right? Sometimes we get upset and we want to beat the lies out of them, right? But a lot of time they lie because they're scared. So again, going back to understand the feeling, tune into the feeling. I said, I know you're scared because you don't know what I'm going to do because you've never had this situation before. However, you need to tell me the truth so that we can decide what to do. All right. See this first rule, don't set up the lie. Please don't. You sat back and you watch a child do something and you know the child do it, and then you go and say, did you do so and so? You're begging for a lie. Do not set them up like that. You just say to them, I saw when you took the money. I saw when you took your brother's pencil. So please just hand it over. All right? So they don't have no reason to tell you a lie now. So they want to tell you a lie now because they are being deliberate, and you said, okay, now their consequences going to come in. One important thing that I learned too, you asked, if you could have a do-over, what would you do differently? Okay? If you get a chance to correct what you just did, how would you do it differently? I'll ask my brother if I could borrow his toy. That's a much better thing. Let's go. Your brother might still be very angry at you and tell you no, then you have to learn how to accept that and move on. Okay? He said, but that's why I took it, because I knew I was going to say no. It's your brother's own, he has a right to say no. All right? But eventually, if they have been having a good relationship, the brother might calm down, and then you take the car and say, here, you might work, you might play with it. Sister might lend the doll, whatever it is. Another problem that might come, as we know, is swearing. And it's not that you're swearing at home sometimes, it's what's happening in the neighborhood. I remember a man told me that between the ages of about 6 to 10, he learned every Jamaican swear word because of the construction site next door to his house. And he used to go over there just to watch them build, and he learned, and the parents had to put in a big thing on teaching him not to swear. And I said, importantly, you tell them, These are offensive words, they hurt people, and they're not polite, and we use only polite words, okay? And sometimes don't give it a lot of energy because it too will just fail, okay? And you apply your consequences to your child based on whatever they have been doing, and you track the progress. So we say you reward them and you see how they're going. So you need to know, is this consequence working? If it's not working, then you need to switch that consequence. Okay, so let's look back at some rules that you might have in the home. And I always say, phrase your rules positively, so be respectful. All right, so you treat everyone with respect. And if you treat somebody with respect, then you won't hit somebody if you respect them. You won't do anything physical to damage them. You always use polite words with them. Be honest with the person. Mean you're telling the truth. All right. Be responsible. Accept the consequences for your action. So you're not going to lie about it. You want to say, I did it and I apologize for it, and I'll do this better next time. Clean up yourself. Do clean up after yourself. Be grateful. All right. Be thankful for whatever it is. Okay. Sometimes you wanted X, but the parents can't afford X, they gave you something else, and you won't feel like you want to break it up. No, that's be grateful. If they're not showing gratitude, then there's a consequence that they have. Okay, the next time you ask me for something that I maybe should be able to afford, I will not offer it because you're not grateful for the small things. Okay, and then be kind. Can't stress this enough. And you have to let them know what kindness means. Okay, remember we talk about telling children be kind, but they don't know what kindness is. All right, you show love, you take care of each other, you give them compliments, you say nice things to yourself as well as to your family member. All right, so these are some other things I just posted. There's some other things that people have used. All right, love God, love each other, listen and obey the first time, use kind words in a kind voice, be honest and loyal, have a servant's heart, ask permission and forgiveness. That's the same because it's the church group. Okay, and it says eat and drink only in the kitchen. But if that's not where it is, you know that you'll have to change that. Eat and drink only in the dining area. Eat and drink only at this particular table. You make a mess, you clean it up. Try everything on your plates. All right, because children are going to, I don't eat this, I don't eat that. You know, give them a little bit. Don't give them too much of stuff, especially if it's something new. You give them a little to see if they like it, then they can add later on. And then no biting, eating, or kicking. Tell the truth, keep your promises, say please and thank you. Work hard. All right, but these are things that you can put. Start out with 5, and as they get older, you can increase the amount of rules. Okay, then we reach the preteen years now. These are the between. They're between a child and a teenager. Very complex time for them because a lot of changes going on. That's when puberty just starts to rear its head and is messing with their emotions, messing with the way they think, messing with how they make friends. All right, people say things to them and they get easily embarrassed and they're just upset about it. All right, so they have to learn how to handle their own body, they have to learn how to handle their emotions, and they have to be able to decide, how do I work in this situation from in another situation? And they also decide, who am I? All right, how do I let people know that this is who I want to be? So things start happening with them, and you have to work with them because everything is just going fast for them, and they might be a little bit more irritable than usual. And importantly now, their friends become more influential than you will be. All right, they now start doubting what you have told them in the past, especially if you didn't used to tell them that I don't know and I will look it up. Their friends said, it's untrue. That's not where babies come from. So they no longer will trust you. And you want to have that trust. You want them to be able to come to you with all their curiosities so you can give them the right knowledge. All right? Not to think that, oh, you're too young. If they're asking the question, they can't be too young. Okay? So you need to be able to help them to navigate through this. During this time, you're going to change some of your family rules, all right? Because they might be more independent. They're coming home by themselves. They might be wanted to stay up later because they're no longer babies, and they'll tell you, I'm not a baby anymore. I have to go to bed at 7. I can go to bed at 8. They want to bargain with you. So you have to change rules and change consequences as you go. Make it more age appropriate. All right. Communicate openly with your preteen. Because if you don't communicate openly with them, somebody else will. And then they might be giving them the wrong information. And importantly, you need to set examples. Many of you have seen many jokes where you say to your child, you're not to lie, and you tell them, don't lie. And then they're inside and someone is on the telephone who you don't want to speak to. And you say, tell them mommy is not here. Tell them that he's not here. Not a good example. Is rather you say, tell them mommy can't speak right now. Okay? That's it. You can't speak to that person right now because you're not afraid of to speak with them. But you have to explain that to the child. You say, mommy can't speak right now. And they do that. But don't tell them that mommy is busy right now when you're sitting down, not looking like you're doing a thing. All right, mommy can't speak right now because she's doing something. Yeah, you're watching TV, you're doing something. You're doing something. So the child will understand that. So you have to set the example that you want your preteens to have. All right. We use behavior contracts both with the preteens and the older children. So I can put it between the two age groups. I actually like the one on the right because I know you can't see it very clearly, but it's for you to know that you can go there online, you can do certain things, right? You said it's a contract between so and so. I promise to behave in socially acceptable manner by me the expected, and you can choose 3 things from that, right? So the preteens is that they're not teasing, they're not doing cursing, and they're taking their bath, whatever it is. I said, if they do this every day, what are the expectations? All right. Mommy or daddy will be proud of you. Mommy or daddy will allow you to get half an hour extra time in your pre-sleep schedule where they will read to you, or you can tell them about your day or something extra. That is extra. You're still going to have those, all right? But you go and you tell them, and then you say, what will happen if you don't meet the expectation? You also have to tell them that as well. So these 2 things are actually doing the same thing. But the one on the right is for older children. Well, I don't know if my right or your left. But the one that you're drawing up the boy on top of it is for the younger preteens. The other one is for the older children. All right? And then this one is for your 15 to 16 years old that you can actually use. You might have to change some of this, all right, but the same thing. You're choosing 3. For the older ones, you might decide you want to choose 5, all right? Get ready for school on time. I remember a parent kept telling me that no matter what she did, her child was late for school, and she was embarrassed because she was always ready. And I would ask, so what do you do? When he's late, I still take him. I said, no, mommy, you need to let him know. We leave at 7 o'clock. If not, you're not down here by 7 o'clock, then I will not be taking you to school. But you can't stay home. Okay? Again, this is for your older children. They are more independent. They can navigate. Okay? And she said the first time it happened, he came down and she was reading a book. I says, Mom, I'm now ready. Mom said, what time is it? He says, 10 after 7. Mom says, so what does that mean? Oh, come on, Mom. Just come on. You need to take me to school. I need to get to school. Mom said, we made a deal. Remember, you signed a contract with me. But I want to be late for school. I want to be late. And Mom said, that's what I've been telling you all the time. That you're going to be late for school. Now, today, you're going to be here later. So please take your bag and go. And he had to walk out. He had enough money because he has his lunch money to take bus or taxi. And he will suffer the consequences of what happens when you get to school late. Okay, 1 second. So you sign the contract with them and they know what's his expectation. And after that, for a long time, he was never late again. Usually he got down there and he would say to her, see, I'm ready 5 minutes to 7 and you're not ready. Mom said, but the leaving time is 7 o'clock. I will be ready by 7. And they went out and they took it. Because he realized, although he liked his independence, going to try and hustle to take the bus to school or to get a cab or something is not worth it. All right. So different things that you put in place for them. Now we reach our teens, 12 to 18. More big changes going on. They're now becoming like little men and women, starting the more body changes, voice deepening, breast development, all that going on. So puberty is in full flight, and they're worried about is in a world how people look at them, that kind of trying to decide. They want to, all right? They want to decide their hair. They want to be how I can, okay? But parents say, okay, I know this stage you want to hear, there's that I will not. All right? So you don't ask. All right? And they're also spending less time at home and because they're more doing stuff with school, make the extra culture is there, so they spend more lessons. So influence is also even more diminished. So you have to now refocus and look at your rules again, look at the consequences that you have for them. You can't tell a 15-year-old, for example, that you don't behave yourself, you're going to go to bed at 7. That's rule and that kind of inappropriate, because a lot of them are staying up late to study, to do other things. But you might be able to take their phone, okay? You might be able to say on the weekend, when you normally do X, that will be off the table because of the rule that you have broken. But you work with them, you develop your rules with them continually. Also, choose your battles. Not everything that your teenager does that is inappropriate, you're gonna stand up and say, yo, no, I'm gonna beat this into you today. You see them, for example, dirty shoes. Our teenagers don't like to clean their shoes. And what? Parents clean their shoes for them. So that's why they've never learned it. All right? So like, if you want to go to school with dirty shoes, that's now school's responsibility, not mine. All right? But some of us are very obsessed with these things and we can't let it go. We teach them how to resolve conflict. All right? So they're at school and children get into their face and my rule is no hitting. Okay? You can defend yourself, but I'd rather not be physical. If it gets physical, there is a consequence for it, but you will talk with them about that. Problem solving again. When they do something that is inappropriate, how are we going to change it? All right? You have to respect your child's privacy as well. Let me know how many Jamaicans, parents, still do this. Your child is in their own space, the door is locked, and you tiptoe, and open the door fast because you want to catch them doing something that they're not supposed to do. They're in the privacy of their room. That's where they must do things they're not supposed to do. But I usually knock on the door and say, I'm coming in, and I open the door. Okay? Because your child might have inappropriate material and stuff. You catch them with it. You don't go all hog wild and say, yo, how dare you bring this dirty thing in the house? And you say, what would think that this is inappropriate for you? Okay, it is not. So because it's not an appropriate book, if you got it from a friend, it's also not an appropriate book for your friend. So I'm going to confiscate this property and I'm going to destroy it. But it's my friend book. So now we problem solve. I'm going to destroy it. You need to figure out with your friend, what do I need to do to replace this for you? Monetary value, you give them the money back. The book costs $50, you pay $50. I mean, 50 US, that is not but to now earn that back. And you said, okay, I will front you the money, but now you'll have to wash my car every week for the next 5 weeks because it's $10 US per washing the car. So that's what it is. Okay, so you work with them. Again, parents, you have to be a role model. You have to learn to become that picture of calmness. Okay, your inside is boiling and you feel like you want to grab them and squeeze them, but you remain calm. And sometimes as parents, you have to walk away. not because the child is so much, because we might do something that we might regret. So we walk away. And when you're calm enough, you say, come here. What happened this morning? What happened half an hour ago? We need to talk about it. We haven't spoken about it. So come. And I say, use your behavior contract with them. All right. I'm just mentioning some things now that I know can create some problems. Back talk is one of the biggest problems for preteens and teens. So you have to have a plan. And the plan for back talk is you have to master the freeze. When your child starts to back talk, it's better for you to stop speaking and look at them as if you're really going to do that right now, but not with any anger or vexation or knitting up your brow. You just give them that stare and you just stop. And you look. My 8-year-old was like, what? I said, oh, I am talking again. I'm not supposed to. I said, yes, that's what you're doing. And we told you that's not appropriate. All right. Refuse the behavior, but you love the child. Remember that unconditional love? You have to practice here. You have to also tell them how it makes you feel. So I feel so disappointed. I've heard my child cry, I don't want you to be disappointed. Please don't be disappointed. I said, that behavior that you did is not what I think you ought to be doing. And I felt very disappointed that you would do it again after we spoke about it. Okay? It makes me very sad when you do something like that. Okay? So what are we going to do instead? And the child has to problem solve, come and we discuss ways. I said, okay, let's write them down and put them on the fridge. So next time you feel like you need to do this, then this is what you're going to do instead. And also teach your child about the brain, how the brain works. Because now they're going through a lot of emotional upheaval. They don't understand that their brain growth is good time. Their mind is working faster than they can actually be using words. So they end up doing something before they even thought about it. And just let them know that sometimes we get angry and frustrated and we're not really aware of why, but we're aware that we're angry and frustrated. So we need to be able to talk ourselves down. All right, so you need to be able to do that. When anger or frustration, when you stop, maintain your freeze look. Okay, the Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. That's why you call back a child with all the negativeness that they are throwing at you is only making the situation worse, not better. Okay, the positive discipline program that I use by Nielsen, she actually uses how to handle back talk, and she says talking back to your child models the exact opposite of what you want to teach. So you're back talking child because the child you're going tit for tat, and you teach them. So whenever you get angry, you go tit for tat. No, so that's why this silent freeze is a good thing to do. So you respond with dignity and respect. You might say, I am not going to talk about that right now because you're too angry right now to really know what you're doing. All right, so it sounds like you're really angry and you need some time to calm down. If you are the instigator, you push them over, you say, I realize I spoke to you disrespectfully and I'm sorry for that because sometimes that's what I do. I lose it and I go there and I'm sorry. I would like to take back what I just said and I would rather say this instead. All right, because you want to teach them. All right. And both of you said, let's take some time for both of us to calm down so we can both be respectful. All right. And again, reaffirm that you love your child. You don't like the behavior, you don't like the back talk, but you love. Let them be secure in that knowledge. Can't give it up. All right. Now a big one is healing. Children will heal. Okay. Shock you no end. And when we say stealing, I'm not talking about just going to a random place. They steal from you. They take your stuff because they like it. All right. And you see, I said, why do I have that on? I didn't give that to you. It's actually stealing. All right. But you handle it the same way, like lying. So you don't set them up. You know they have stolen, you've seen it. When you have an only child, or there's no other person coming into your space, if you're missing money from your purse, 99.9% is your child. The only little hesitation because you didn't see them. But you know, if you came home the night before and you had two $500 in your bag, and in the morning you only see one, it did not magically disappear. Your child must have taken it. So you go and say, Mary, James, may I have the $500? And like, I said, we're the only two persons here, and I know you took it, so may I have it? Okay? Again, you also need to find out, is there something that your child wanted? Why they stole? All right? Because sometimes it's at their school, their friends having different things, and they want to get the same things. All right? People, nowadays, children even stealing money to buy phones and all kind of stuff. All right? So you need to be able to help them. And the other thing is, don't tempt them. You know that they have little nimble fingers. Don't put things that you know that they would like to take out in their eyesight, because say that I'm teaching that he must see it and leave it alone. When he's able to have that self-control, yes. But right now, he's not having that self-control. So don't put candy in front of the baby. The baby will eat the candy. They'll take the stuff. All right? And say, what is happening? Again, we don't beat them with each of their life because you don't want them to go out and steal, but you talk to them and say, come here. This is wrong. If they stole from a store, you said, we have to go back and give this back, or we have to go back and pay for it. Luckily, in Jamaica, not like in the United States, you might go back to tell the owner they have stolen, and it's squared off between you there. But in the States, some of them will call the police. So you now have to make a decision, what is it that I want to do? But if your child is doing it 3 or 4 or 5 times doing the same thing, then you know that you need a bigger intervention than just talking to your child. Your child would need something greater than that. All right. So that was stuff that I want to present. Now we're open for questions and answers and anything else that you would like to ask, even if it's something that I didn't touch on. All right. So I'll hand over back to Dr. O'Hara so she can now do that part.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Daley. So I'll facilitate any questions. I know time is well spent. So I'm not seeing anything on YouTube chat yet. So there, I'm just seeing that persons are saying very useful information. So true, still a closed society. So we're getting comments, and thank you so much everyone for coming out. The floor is open for comments. I'll open the question. Please raise your hands if you have a question. So the question I want to bring to you, Dr. Daley. 1, is it okay or appropriate for a mother to read her child's diary? 2, is it appropriate for a parent to be searching the child's drawers and, you know, their personal belongings? I guess they're in the same vein. And 3, is it appropriate for a parent to search a child's phone, like their text messages and those things? So different degree of their privacy I'm asking about. And while Dr. Daley is answering these questions, please raise your hand and then we can do the close off.
All right. Okay. Importantly, as I said, we said value your child's privacy. Okay. However, that comes with some disclaimers. You must be open with your child. You must let your child know that there are certain things that I will come into your room and I will look. I usually say I'll do it in the presence of my child. So the way my child is at school and they go in and search the drawers, I say, I'm now in and I'm coming to check the drawers to see if there's anything you have that should not be here. Okay? We do things like that. All right? The diary is a little bit more personal, because a lot of children write their personal thoughts in it. But remember about reading at night and sharing. All right. As an example, you might keep a journal or a diary and you say, okay, tonight I'm going to read something to you from my journal. And I want you to read something from your journal to me. You want that openness with them. If your child has had difficulty in the past where you're no longer trusting them, or they have been involved in drugs, or they have been involved in inappropriate conversation, then that's important. I tell my teenagers, you can have passwords on your phone. Yes, you can. But what happens when I come and say, okay, it's time to check your phone to see if you're still involved in anything, you need to open the phone so I can do that. If your child refuses, then the consequence that you'd have told them before is then that you lose the privilege of having a phone. You lose the privilege of being able to have your privacy in your room. Okay, I just told a parent her child keeps locking the door at nights so that in the morning when it's time to wake her up to get to school, mommy can't get into the room and the child is not getting up. Okay, so mommy, the first thing you do is take the lock. So the key. So she did that. Child found a way to barricade the door so she couldn't do that. I said, mommy, take out the lock. Okay, if she did something else, then the door goes. She still has her room, but she has lost the right to her privacy. She'll have to have, as I say, 2 consistent weeks of being able to do something, and then I'll be able to say, okay, I'm going to give you back the door, but not the lock. Different things like that. So you have to be able to, based on the situation. As I said, one size doesn't fit all. All right? So you have to be able to do that. But what you want to develop with your child is a trusting relationship. And remember, not everything, especially when you get to teenage years, that your child is doing or child knows about, that he wants to share with you. All right? Some things might be a little bit too embarrassing, but for those with younger children now, that's why it's important to talk to your children. That's why it's important for you to them to be conscious of their body and be aware of it and not be shameful of it, because that's where the hiding and stuff comes in. Don't belittle what you're seeing or tease them about something, because then they're going to go and hiding and they don't want to share things. And they might be having a health crisis that you are not aware of until it's gone much further than it had to have gone. All right? So I hope that answers your question, Dr. Spalding O'Hara.
All right, thank you so much. In answer to some of the questions, somebody was asking what age group this refers to. But I think you had explained that, but if you want to make any clarifications on that.
All right. When you're giving children as young as 7, 8, and 9 phones, and they're able to do things, then again, the same rule apply. Mommy will need to check your phone. And I tell my child, I said, we're living in an age that there are people out there who are not nice people. And they might see you doing something and they come on and they try to say something to you. So mommy has to check every now and then to make sure that you are safe. I do that with the younger ones. The older ones, if they have never been in any trouble or not doing anything and stuff, and you might say, okay, I'll give them a chance to be free and to do different things. But if they are problem children and they do stuff, then you say, okay, I need to check on a more regular basis and I need to be able to see what is going on. And you can open your phone and I can see. So again, depends on what is going on. But I always start with my child at a younger age to let them know that this is something that mommy does in order to protect you for your own safety. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Just letting persons on the Zoom know that you can visit the Halsall District of SDA Church's YouTube page to hear the presentation in its entirety if you came on the Zoom late. All right, look like the presentation was just so exhaustive that no one really has questions. So I'll give a final opportunity. You can come off mute or raise your hands. Any questions for Dr. Daley before we let her go? All right, going once, going twice.
How would you?
Yes, Elder Wigan.
Very unfortunate that at this time, the devices, the tablets, the laptops, and everything that most of us would have been very, very careful that our children wouldn't have the chance to spend so much time on. They have to.
Yes.
Therefore, when a parent might have 3 children who are homeschooling right now, and they have to be monitored. And the gadgets were made in this age. So they are wiser, they are faster, they are more savvy than most of us. How do you really monitor? Well, I know they have devices system where they can log on. You can register them so that once they move out of the zone to whatever, and you will get that kind of beep and you will know and so. But it's really challenging to monitor and to really keep abreast of all of these information that is really coming at them with their fast fingers and all of that. What type of advice, Mrs. Daley, would you have at this time? Especially for some persons, they might be in the care of older, he may be in retired age group who is not so friendly with the savvy, right, with the system and so forth. And there are parents too who maybe is not as, literate. And so most time it is left to the children to kind of lead the charge as it relates to the device. What word would you have at this time to kind of share, to console? Because some of our children have gone into maybe no age and they're not innocent anymore.
Yes.
They are exposed. And how do you? How do you? Just what do you do? I mean, the presentation is very good and informative, but in real life, for those of us who grew up back then, so like it is something that is not real. It's really a paradigm shift from maybe what older ones of us.
And that's why I said that's the first thing you have to do when you decide that physical punishment is no longer the way to go. You have to be able to make that shift, because it's so ingrained in some of us that even when we try, we seem to fall back on it. All right. Okay, talking about the devices. Yes, they're all over the place. Yes, you want somebody you have to put things on to know, because I have a Google as a family link, so I can tell my child that I know that he went on this and this site. All right, that's for me, because I'm a more savvy parent when it comes to that. All right, the important thing, as you say, you want to build that relationship with your child, okay? That you will be able to advise them as to what are things that you think is not appropriate for them. Monitoring them 24/7, there are 3 or 4 of them inside the house. I have my child in class. I just sit, and by observing, I know based on how the fingers go and based on what I'm hearing, that enthusiasm and that loss of movement is not going with the class. So I will just say, I know you're not doing what you're saying. As I said, I don't to get them to tell me a lie. I know, so could you do what you get off? All right. Sometimes I go there and I stop. And if I see the hustle, try and get out of it, it confirms in my mind that's what's going on. Okay. And sometimes I do, for example, I have to let them be more public space, passing, where you can actually see the screen. So parents, please dress appropriately all the time, because if the camera is on, then it will catch you. But put it in a place that you can pass by. I talk to my teachers, my daughter teacher all the time, because if I'm doing something, I'm preparing my work. So I was preparing for the presentation. She's working. I hear the teacher ask a question and she can't answer. And one mic is open. So I said, Miss, let me just tell you, she was not paying attention because I have to be doing something right now. So do whatever you think that ought to be done. All right. And then in the end, she gets, because one of my rules right now, because you're on the tablet much, after hours, you're not to be on unless it's to do homework. So she's not using it to play a game. She's not using to do any of those things after hours. Like on the weekend, I might give her a little bit more time. I said, okay, there's no class during the day, you get some little bit more time on the weekend. All right. But you want to build with your child and you want your child to be honest with you. Again, as I say, sometimes you have to tell them about the dangers that are out there. And you have to say, if anybody ever come online and say this to you or say that to me, let me know. So you're preparing them, all right? So that when they hear or see something, the flags can go up, okay? And if you're not savvy, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. You might ask somebody from church, all right? Help me with this, all right? Because it takes a village still to raise a child. So you ask your core group persons to say, I really don't understand half of what is going on with this tablet. Can you help me? Somebody who you think will be able to know that and to be able to, you can trust them that they will talk to your child when you realize you're doing the wrong thing and inform you as well. All right. But in this real world situation now, you have to just go by faith. All right. I hope that answers some of what you're asking.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Dr. Daley.
Sorry, there's a link up on the screen now. That's the free conference that's going on. I think it's May the 18th to the 21st. It's a free parenting conference on positive parenting. You can actually go in and register, go online and find it, and you can register.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So again, thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it, and we need to start putting it into practice. As you would have known, it's hard to unlearn certain behaviors. So it will take us some time to put it in place. So thank you again. Thank you. You have yourself a wonderful evening. And remember, Dr. Daley does assessments. So if you suspect your child may have ADHD and learning disorders and intellectual disorder, they're just having trouble understanding schoolwork or having behavioral problems, she does assessments. Those assessments can help with the child's placement in school and can help with them having, I probably should let Dr. Daley speak too. Yes, Dr. Daley, just give a quick word on the assessment, then we'll close now.
Yes, so it's called psychoeducational assessment. And for those who have heard of microcare, it's the same thing. Micro is the government arm of it, but they can't handle all the children who need to be assessed. So people like me benefit, all right? But children who, from very young, as remember I said to you, for example, if some of the behavior challenges are going on for later in life, then longer than you usually have them, more likely they might something that you need to check out. A child might have a learning problem, the child might have intellectual disability, the child might have learning disability, the child might have attention deficit. And if the behavioral challenges, as I said to you, those that are just not the run of the mill, you have put things in place and child still seem to be, and you need to have to see whether they're having conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, then I do those kind of assessment and I also put treatment in place for those kind of things. All right. So Dr. O'Hara can pass on my information to you and then.
Definitely. So, all right. Thank you so much, Dr. Daley. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming on Zoom and on YouTube. Remember to like, subscribe, and thank you so much for supporting the Ministerial Association. We appreciate it. Thank you, Halsall, for giving us opportunity to use your platform. Thank you, Elder Braham, for making poster and preparing the video. Thank you, all the participants, all our PKs, shepherdesses, our pastors. Thank you, everyone, our members, our church elders. Thank you, everyone, so much for your support. Do have yourself a wonderful evening. And remember the takeaway, be the role model for the children, be respectful to them, and so that they will do the same to you. Thank you so much, and do have yourselves a great evening. Goodbye.